Hello, I'm Michelle Madigan, and I'm from Saratoga Springs. Good evening, City Council, and I would like to first begin by offering my condolences to Gordon Boyd and his family. I am here tonight to discuss things budget-related. I watched the comprehensive budget presentation and most recently the public safety budget workshop, which lasted 2.5 hours. Which the council spent the entire first hour complaining ad nauseum about the commission form of government, stating there would always be arguing and nastiness because the commission form of government is designed this way. But from what I can tell, many, if not all past administrations, while not always agreeing, were able to cooperate and accomplish much during their tenures. The rest of the first hour was spent offering excuses about why the Commissioner of Finance was putting forward a tax increase for the second year in a row. This was not the intent of the meeting, that's not what the agenda said, and was a waste of time for those watching, as the agenda clearly stated this was the public safety budget workshop. I will work hard not to waste time here and get to the point. I can assure you that after having spent 10 years on the City Council, the taxpayers and residents care not for the blame game and that the buck stops with you. When I left office, you were left with a 28.5% fund balance, equivalent to $15.5 million in unrestricted funds. And again, in 2022, you had another fund balance of about 30%, or basically $17 million, and you have an actual surplus of $5,400,000. People are also often confused about a surplus versus a fund balance. And this is on top of funds that are restricted, typically in the form of reserves that can be used to support an annual budget or assignments or encumbrances in the amount of $11.5 million. Indeed, the post-COVID years, the post-COVID world has been very good to the city of Saratoga Springs. These are absolutely huge fund balances, and much of it should be given back to the people of the city in one form or another. And you don't do that by raising taxes or shaming the Public Safety Department for their requested budget, which has been happening regularly at the last City Council meeting, at their budget workshops, in press releases, and on social media, where the Commissioner of Finance called the requested budget from the Department of Public Safety unconscionable. For many departments, if you don't ask, you don't receive. Is this shaming of public safety because of the commission form of government? I think not. You forget, while it's obvious many on this council do not care for their fellow colleague, Commissioner Montanino, behind him sits employees, chiefs, police officers, firefighters, dispatchers, clerks, etc. In reality, that is who the council is shaming. But let me get back to tax increases for the last 2 years. The current commissioner has stated her reasons for raising taxes while sitting on a massive surplus and fund balance is because the previous administration over 10 years never raised taxes. That would be me. But this is unfortunately not true because during COVID, much to my chagrin, I had to raise taxes by a whopping 6%. And that the previous administration never did a reassessment, and that would be placing blame on former Commissioner John Frank. And another blame game reason for raising taxes is that the previous administration failed to collect back taxes. Well, collect them then. It's a long, arduous, and expensive process. I finished a back taxes in REM during my first term in office. And this city usually does one about every 10 years. And that is because we have a high rate, or percentage-wise, of people who actually pay their taxes. It's typically well over 95%. And during my tenure, it was high as 97 or 98%. It is not my fault you have not started an in-rem during your first term in office to collect back taxes. I haven't seen anything on the finance agenda during 2021 or to date about collecting back taxes.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, this is a public hearing, and I've timed this. It goes about a little over 4 minutes.
You're done.
It's a public hearing. The reason you are raising taxes is either because your spending is out of control or you refuse to give back this money to the taxpayers, the fund balance they own. It's their money. You did hire 30 new hires in 2022, and again, blaming the form of government and previous administrations for needing to hire so many people, and then we didn't hire enough people, and that we didn't. Well, I personally did not believe I needed a personal assistant for the 10 years I was finance commissioner, and additionally, I never promised the firefighters union 16 new firefighters. Which is clear you are unable to budget for appropriately and all want to blame Commissioner Montanino. Bottom line is, you promised, now figure out how to fund it together so it opens on time. I also did not revamp a brand new, newly
please
renovated
wrap up,
finance
please?
office. It's a public hearing, and people are allowed to speak
4
at public
minutes.
hearings. And I have 2 more
4
paragraphs. I'm not going to let you interrupt me. The arguments that ensued with this council at the public safety workshop, which was, again, 2.5 hours long, and they didn't get to finish either, was horrid and shocking. If you're going to have a third station, you must budget for the station. That is the job of this council. And that you did not include enough money in the 2023 budget to staff, and Chief Dyer, it was uncalled for. The way you treated Chief Dyer was uncalled for.
Could you please
The notion
wrap up?
that the money should be transferred from the police to fire is outlandish, too. I heard strong words such as malfeasance and yelling and screaming at the public safety.
Can you please
And you all
wrap
don't
up?
understand how much it's going to cost to operate the third station. Being so close to each other, and that
You're
the
now at
fact
5
that we
minutes
run, I'm being
40.
totally interrupted, and it's rude. And being that there are 5 fire stations, 3 fire stations near each other, we run an ambulance, and we have a roving captain. This is why previous administrations never committed to 4 on an engine due to the fact that I just said we have a roving fire captain and an ambulance that goes with them. Former Mayor Scott Johnson was correct to vote no on this project because he was concerned about ballooning costs. And yes, they are ballooning. I would love to see 4 on an engine. Yes, absolutely. And I know you would all too. But it must be planned for and enacted within our actual means. Thank you. My hope is that you take responsibility for your decisions and in the future work together to ensure public safety has what it needs to operate and the best interests of the city going forward. That includes coming together to determine what is needed and how you will fund the third station. Not talking over each other at the public safety when the public safety commissioner is trying to talk at his budget workshop because he doesn't have all the resources to open the station in November. Like it or not, you all need to solve this as you all committed to 4 on an engine, and that expense has come due. Good night.